Welcome to Coffee with the Risk Manager, where we share a cup of coffee with colleagues and discuss all things risk management in higher education. My name's Stacie Kroll, and I'm the Executive Director for Gallagher's Higher Education Practice. And with me today is Julie Groves, Director of Risk Services at Wake Forest University and incoming President for the University Risk Management Insurance Association. So Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, Stacie, I am so excited to be here. Like you said, I am the Director of Risk Services at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I've been in this job for almost 23 years. And I really do love my job. And I am an alumna of the university. So that really makes my jobs more rewarding because to me, there's a special sense of ownership involved in working for your alma mater. And as you mentioned, I'm the president-elect of IRMIA. So if there are any higher ed listeners out there who don't know about IRMIA, check us out on the web or reach out to Stacie or me if you have any questions about it.
That's great. Thanks. So I need two things from you today. I need to see your coffee cup, and I need to know what your favorite social media platform is for personal enjoyment.
Well, I am excited to be here today, Stacie. So it's going to be fun to chat with you. So my coffee cup, I don't drink coffee very much, but I have the Stacie Kroll limited edition collector's coffee cup, and right now it's one of a kind, but we can send them to mass manufacturing. So if anybody out there wants one, you just let me know and we'll make that happen. As for my favorite social media, I think I'm tied between Facebook, because I think Facebook is great because I really do use it to keep up with friends I haven't seen in a long time or their children who are now young adults. And I do think Facebook has sort of become the 21st century version of what everybody's Christmas cards used to be. And I think for pure entertainment, as you and I have talked about, I do really love TikTok. I mean, it's just addictive. And depending on what you follow and the algorithm, there can be very educational things on there. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad.
Yeah, I certainly share your love of TikTok, and lately I've been saying it's one of my love languages is to send TikToks to folks when I see something that makes me think of them. So I somehow did not get a limited edition Stacie Kroll coffee cup, so I'll be looking for one of those in the mail. But today I've got my Patriots mug because, of course, it's NFL postseason and go Pats. So today I'm excited to have you on as our guest because we're talking about social media and we're talking about how to leverage social media as a valuable risk management tool. And, social media is a big topic. It's a monster topic that could take us. We could almost spend all day talking about it. So for today, in the interest of bite-sized content, we're kind of limiting the scope of our conversation to how to leverage social media to do a campus environmental scan and how to kind of monitor what's happening and then apply your risk management lens to that information.
Right. And so I remember the exact date that I decided that risk management should be using social media as a tool. As I already mentioned, I'm a Wake grad. And so I always followed their athletic social media as a fan. But on July 1st, 2014, I was sitting at my desk at lunch, scrolling through my Twitter feed, and I saw a tweet announcing groundbreaking on a new football training facility. And I thought, that's interesting. I don't really know anything about that. And I wonder if we should have a builder's risk policy for that. So I called over to athletics and my friends over there and I said, a funny thing happened when I was looking at my Twitter feed today. And I will say, before I go any further, I want to make a little disclaimer. I am not trying to throw athletics under the bus. This is just for entertainment purposes. Athletics, they have always been a great partner with me, and they have a process in place to let me know about these things. This was just one of those fluke things that happened, but it actually really helped me realize that I needed to stop looking at social media just through a personal lens, but also I needed to look at it through a risk management lens and that it could really become a useful tool if I did it that way.
Yeah. So were you able to get that builder's risk placement on time? Oh, good.
Yes,
good.
No problem. We didn't have any problem. We had plenty of time.
Glad to hear. So that's kind of just happenstance that you became aware simply because of your alum connection and your fandom of your institution.
Right.
But it makes me think of other kind of pockets of social media that we might official campus sponsored type pockets of information that we would want to be aware of. In addition to athletics, and some that come to my mind are, any notorious student groups who have some high visibility and notoriety in social media. Your campus police and emergency management, professionals are always proactively pushing out information, which is really great to have. Any high profile faculty or administration, certainly feel free to follow them, particularly if they have a strong social media presence. And then, your campus publications, your alum magazine, your alumni network, your student newspaper, which is probably my favorite place for risk management information, is your student newspaper.
Definitely.
The only problem with kind of your official channels is it's probably going to be more filtered information and really well thought out information that's gone through a number of layers before it's hit the web. So I get a little bit more concerned about what I don't know and what hasn't been filtered through, like those shadow channels that our students are following, that our staff are following, where they're talking about risk management issues, but that it's not bubbling up to the layer it needs to for a sense of awareness.
Right.
And actually, which is pretty current and relevant, is TikTok has this trend where students with physical accessibility needs will use that platform to showcase their path through campus. And the sole intent behind that video is to identify the numerous physical barriers that they encounter. And that, they're going viral. And if it weren't for TikTok's scarily accurate algorithm and my professional and personal interest in student accessibility throughout my career, I never would have been made aware of that. And the fact that I am aware is great because I get to let the clients know that, hey, this student's going viral if you didn't know this was happening. But I wouldn't have otherwise known about it.
Right. Right. And, social media can be so overwhelming. There's just so much out there. And again, it can be helpful, but it can also be overwhelming. And, so just you've already mentioned a couple of things to follow. A couple other suggestions are keep an eye out for anagrams of your institution's name or anagrams of your institution's mascot. Look for hashtags that are terms related to your institution. We all have to know there are negative terms sometimes related to our institution. Look for hashtags of those. Look for hashtags of positive terms related to your institution. And you should also reach out to your student life staff, friends you have over there, and ask them who to follow. And if you know any students, ask them who they think you should follow. I will say I did eventually realize it was important to widen my social media circle. And so I started following things outside of the Wake Forest bubble. For instance, the local law enforcement, EMS, and fire departments, just for a few examples. And this brings up my next interesting story. This happened while we were still working remotely with COVID, and we had several days of heavy rain, and there were many places throughout the city where the streets had ponding, and that's what the meteorologists call it. And I got a call from a WFU employee who was in a university-owned car, and he told me he had driven through a puddle and his car had stalled. And I didn't really think much of it. We talked about some towing options, and I went about my day. And then that afternoon, I was looking at Twitter, and I saw a video posted on the fire department's page of them rescuing a passenger from a car that was surrounded by water. So guess who the driver was? Yes, it was the employee who called me earlier that day. So I called him and I said, hey, by the way, do you follow the fire department? Because they posted a video of someone being rescued from a partially submerged car, and it looked a lot like you. And he said, I asked them not to post that. And, again, disclaimer, I'm not trying to embarrass him or throw him under the bus. I think, he was probably pretty panicked. I think I would have been panicked. So he wasn't trying to be deceitful. I just think it, again, goes to show that risk management can really use social media if you use it in the right kind of way.
Yeah. And that's certainly not the way you want to get a call from risk management either.
Yeah,
And that can be quite embarrassing, right?
right, right.
So, with the local kind of campus police and kind of broadening your net, we have seen crisis communication firms and crisis response firms come out with this technology. And if a crisis happens, a firm may offer this technology where they can do really slick things like set a geo circle around your campus to monitor all the social media activity around a particular radius. They'll monitor local EMS, local fire, local police, and then the nice thing is they can consolidate that information so
Right.
that when you're in crisis response mode, your risk manager is not going down one social media path, student life, emergency management, your president, communications. Like you guys aren't monitoring this stuff on your own. The
Right.
firm is able to pull this together in a nice report.
Right.
It's
Right.
there's limitations. It's reactive. The crisis has to happen before you're looking at that. And I like the idea of the proactive monitoring of these channels.
Right.
We have seen some schools take that kind of social media monitoring technology in house, and take the expertise in house and do a proactive scan, but it's usually limited to like physical threat on campus. It's not really culture or environmental scanning. It's more, is something imminent going to happen?
Right. Right. And I think social media moves really, really quickly. And to your earlier point, sometimes all you can do is react. But hopefully, as technology continues to evolve, we will get to the point where we can be much more proactive. And as you mentioned, I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So I will offer one word of caution. Always consider the social media platform you're looking at and remember the limitations of that platform and understand who the users are. And I know it's shocking, but you cannot believe everything you read on the internet. And that is also true for social media. So, social media platforms can really be a gathering of disgruntled folks, and just go out and take a look at the Nextdoor app or your neighborhood Facebook page, and you will see great examples of that.
Yeah, we have a local blog style news output here that has a commenting feature. And not only do they have a commenting feature on the news stories, but they have an anonymous commenting feature. So that adds a whole layer of bravery when people offer their thoughts on a particular news story. So kind of pre-COVID, one of my favorite pastimes is getting a cup of coffee and reading the local news, in particular those stories that had my institution in it, and seeing how my neighbors thought about a particular story, and it's always enlightening. But one thing I've learned on that though, really easy to go down the rabbit hole, really easy to follow threads, look at people, look at different topics, and you can spend hours doing it. So to your point about kind of word of caution, I'd say do it intentionally and thoughtfully, and don't get lost and hung up in the mix.
I totally agree.
So thank you, Julie, so much for being here. I look
Thanks for
forward
having me.
to receiving my Stacie
Yes,
Kroll coffee mug in the
I'll
mail.
get that in the mail to you right away.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And have a great day.
Thanks, you too.